Good afternoon, this is Barbara, preparing for Demo 3A for class CS 6211.A. Checking in with the captioner as to whether you can hear me. Yay, okay, thank you very much. All right, today's lesson is really fun. Let's go ahead and move over into, application sharing, start sharing, and PowerPoint. Share. Okay, looks like I need to move this bar over to show you the whole window. I am getting a little bit smarter at these demos, or so it seems to me. I hope it's working out better for you too. Okay, so today's demo is a little bit about templates. We'll go into that more next week. A little bit about backgrounds, but most exciting, today's demo is about animation and adding video to your presentation as well. So lots of great stuff. I will talk about things that aren't in your book. In your book, we'll talk about things that I haven't mentioned. So please, please, please be sure to watch your CD that came with your book, watch your video, and read the tutorials and do the work to really get all the information. Okay, so I have my midterm project up on screen, and it doesn't have any animations or video yet. We're going to add them today. I did choose a template, and we can see up here when the design tab is chosen that you can see that this is the template that I'm using. And we talked before about how you can change templates, and you'll even see on the fly how it affects your document if it's already had some formatting done to it. And in some cases like this, you'll see it really doesn't fit. So you want to spend time choosing your theme before you fine-tune all your material. So let's Control Z to go back to the original. Oops, sorry, that went all the way. Let's find that theme again, right here. Okay, now in addition to that theme, which we've talked about, you can choose color schemes and fonts for your particular template. These are the choices that PowerPoint offers, and then these work as header and body copy fonts throughout. There's a cat staring in the window at me and meowing furiously. Sorry, he's very distracting, and there is no way in for him through the window, so he's just going to have to stay there. Okay, so you can choose different fonts, and it will filter again throughout your whole presentation. So once again, this could really mess up some font sizes that you've used if you haven't thought it through. It so happens that this choice of font still works pretty nicely. Some of these thin letters drop out against the background. So let's go back, and I had this font, and I thought that one worked nice and bold. Let's talk about serif versus sans serif for a minute, because it is included in this lesson plan. This type right here, go to the front page and look at it again there too. This has no serif. Serifs are sort of the little tags that hang off the edge of the letters. Throughout history, it's been believed that serif typefaces are easier to read because the serifs themselves, the little feet on the letters, help guide the eye along the baseline. Sans serif typefaces, on the other hand, are less cluttered and conducive to seeing short bursts of text or headlines, subheads. Very good for visual clarity, but not as good for reading. However, things have sort of been flipped around now that we're reading a lot on the web. On the web, sans serif is a more commonly used typeface simply because there's less clutter to each letter form by not having any serif. So you're free to do what you like to do, and let's take a look. Here we have two sans serif typefaces for my title, and let's look at how they look throughout the first 3 pages of my presentation. Nice and clean, simple. I don't have a lot of text to read, so the sans serif is just fine. Let's go back to fonts again, and let's choose something with serif. Let's try Book Antiqua, and we'll see that it looks very charming here in the word art, the gold word art that I did on the cover, the front slide, sorry. Notice that now that font size doesn't work appropriately. I'd have to take that down in size if I wanted to stick with this. And let's look how it reads on the other pages. And again, it's working fine for the headline, except that it is a little bit, the thin lines are dropping out a little bit. But I'd say these become harder to read. They're lighter and not as dynamic on the screen. So there's a difference between serif and sans serif font. Let's go ahead and pop this open, and we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and choose something I saw earlier today. I liked waveform with Canberra typeface for both headline and body copy. Okay, colors as well. You can go ahead, even though you're using a theme, you can go ahead and say, you know, I'd like to see how this would look in this color scheme instead. And I'd say that's fairly awful, wouldn't you? I vote for awful. Let's pop effects open again. In my presentation, because I'm showing off artwork, I kind of like having a nice plain background so the focus stays on the art. I don't want the background of the slide to be competing with the photographs that I'm showing. So let's see. You can scroll through here to find color schemes that PowerPoint already has for you, or you can create new theme colors on your own as well. You'll notice that this gets to be a pretty technical dialog box where you can make choices for the different accents, for links, for text. We're just going to cancel out of there, and of course give it a name you'll recognize. We're going to cancel out of there, but I cannot live with those fonts, so let's go back to colors. I can live with the font, I can't live with the colors. I thought Couture worked good for mine. So let's go ahead and try that. Actually, yeah, it's easy to be fussy here, huh? And then today I don't really need to be fussy, but I am. All right, that looks good to me. Now, we also have background styles. So right now there's this dark background for this theme show, and this works well again because a dark color helps provide a foil for the brighter, more exciting colors on top of it. But just for heck of it, let's go ahead and try something different. Notice how these colors filter through the whole theme and slide presentation. And of course that looks awful because I've chosen light colors to go on top and they're not going to show up on a light colored background. Can't say enough about how important contrast is between foreground and background, between text and background. And if you're giving your presentation through a projection system, please note that the contrast is not the same as it would be when you're looking directly on your screen, so that you'll really want to look through a projection system. Let's go ahead and click this format background because I want you to see that there's many more options. Right now I have chosen a gradient fill, but you can have a solid fill. You can even use a picture to fill the whole background, and we'll do that at the end of the presentation. There are pattern fills. If you click this box, you'll get choices of pattern fill. You can also choose to hide all background graphics as well on just a single page or on all the pages. And if you choose picture fill, then of course you'll get choices for how to place it, where to find it from, etc., etc. We're going to go back to our gradient fill for now and click close. And we're going to go back to that background style and choose a dark color. First, let's scroll. There's no other choices in here with the theme that I have going. The choices are these gray gradients. All right. And it looks like I lost a box somewhere. How interesting. Oh, I put on hide background graphics. Let's turn that back on. Okay. You know, the thing about PowerPoint that makes it tricky is there are so many options. And with this wonderful ribbon at top, options appear only when you have the correct tab chosen, and that can be rather confusing. Okay, proceeding on with our presentation. That was the background. Let's go ahead and move into animation, or let's watch the slideshow real quickly first from beginning. And there's a transition. I like to use a fancy transitioning for the opening page. And then I stick with the same transition throughout the slideshow. And that's actually kind of a fancy one. Often I will use just a simple fade for my main transition through all the slides. Now, because I'm showing off a gallery, let's go back because I missed something there. Okay, so same transition throughout, and then I'm showing off a gallery of work, so just the photo itself changed. And now I'm coming to the last slide, and so I went back to my original presentation. I mean my original transition from the first slide. And this time I used an animation to slide the garden bench on. And, oops, getting a little ahead of myself, here are animations that are showing a work in progress. And so this is a fun way that animation can be used. And I thought I was going to set this up and I'll show you how to do this. Okay? And that's a fun way for animation to show a work in progress. So let's go ahead and hit escape. And let's go back. Let's click our Animations tab, which we haven't used yet today. And let's go to this slide here, where we're talking about how to design a project. So animations, like all your other windows, have a special ribbon at top with all the choices related to animations. And we're going to cruise right over to Microsoft for a minute and take a look at some nice bulleted information they give us about animations. Animations can have three different possibilities. They can be an entrance animation that brings the graphic on screen. There can be an emphasis animation that once the graphic is on screen, it does something even further, like twirls around or fades, etc. And an emphasis effect can be used to bring a graphic on screen as well. And you can have an exit effect, which moves something off of screen. So in my last slide that I showed you with the progress of my garden bench mosaic, in each of those photographs had an entrance effect and an exit effect, one after the other. Now when you're using animation, you also have timing options, and these control when the animation items display and the sequence of it. And you can have things come on screen slowly, medium speed, or quickly. You can have them come on with the click of a button or automatically with the last animation. So there's sequencing there that can happen. You also have an animation painter, so if you set up an animation that you love, you can copy it from that object and paste it to another object, and we'll do that as well. Here's Microsoft showing you, and you might have this within your slideshow, showing you how the gallery of animations is a pop-up just like your other galleries, and you have access to all the different kinds of effects and your timing options as well at the bottom. Okay. Here they're showing us, okay, let's go back to my demo and we'll come back and look at that in a minute. All right, so now we're giving a presentation about mosaics and designing mosaics. We want to keep the audience interested, and that's one of the things animations are useful for. I can come to the slide and I can begin talking about resources you might use for design ideas and then have the cover of the book come on, rather than having it there as soon as I turn to that slide. So let's go ahead and select this slide. And by the way, this is my animation pane. If it's not showing, go ahead and click up here, and then your animation pane will be showing along the right-hand side, and that can be useful when you have multiple animations. Here's an object. I want to give it an animation. I can have it do any of the simple animations there, something with more emphasis, and more effects located under here. But I'm going to have it fly in, and I don't like things flying in from the bottom. Somehow that doesn't feel right to me, so I'm going to click my effect option, and I'm going to have it come in from the top right. Okay. I get to choose whether it comes in when I click for it or comes in automatically as soon as I turn to this slide. I'm going to have it come in on a click. 0.5, I'd say, is about a medium animation. You'll want to play with these yourself and check them out. And you can have a delay too if you want to have it come on automatically without the click of a button, but you want it to wait 1 or 2 or 3 seconds from when you've changed to that slide. There's a lot of possibilities here, and I have to say that they're fun to use, and you can really get some great sequencing going. If you do so and you're giving a presentation live, you'll want to practice and really mouse through your presentation in slideshow view and make sure the timing's working properly with what you have to say. Make sure the sequencing is in the right order. It can be a little bit tricky, but it is so well worth it. Okay, so we have one animation now here, and we see that in the animation pane, it will show, and you can click the play button to see what it's going to do. And that's what you'll do. You'll say, oh, you know, that's pretty boring. Instead, I want it to float in. What will that look like? And that'll show a float, but I do prefer fly in. Okay, now I'm going to click this picture as well and add an animation here. I'm going to do a fly in again, but this time I'm going to have it come from the bottom right. And again, I can check the play button to see how it's going to work. So now, if we go to slideshow and we go from current slide, you'll see the slide comes on with the text only. I can talk about how when you're first designing a project, it's great to look through lots of books to get some ideas. And I can click the button to advance my slide, and it brings on my slide. And I'm laughing because I thought I told it to come from the top right, but it came from the bottom. And click again, and it brings on my next animation. Isn't that cool? All right, let's press escape, go back here. Now, of course, it gets so much fancier, and just for the fun of it, with the second animation chosen, I'm going to click open the button here, and I'm going to go into effect options. And I was hoping I could swap out a different animation over here. So what I can do here is change direction. So let's click this. Let's go here. Pop this open. We'll fix my mistake, which was effect options. I wanted it to come from the top right. And click OK. And that's still wrong. So effect options. I want it to come from the top right, not the left. And OK. And I like that right away PowerPoint gives you a visual to show you what's going to happen. But I wanted to go ahead and choose this one and just give it a fancier one because it's just so much fun. So we're going to switch over my tab to animations. We're going to pop open this dialog box, and let's have it enter with a swivel. Now let's play, and it should play from the start. Slide in and swivel. Now I have both of those set to come in on click, so I'm in charge of them entering on screen. Sometimes when I'm showing before and afters of work, I'll have the first animation come in on click, and I will have it come in, fade out, and bring in the next animation. So you can have a sequence of 3 like that. All right, now it's not only graphics that can be animated. Text can be animated as well. And this is really great because let's say these are talking points that I want to, I'm really teaching my audience the process of making a mosaic. If the whole process is listed here, the audience can be reading ahead of me and not really staying with what I'm talking about in particular. So with a list like this, if you want, you can animate it. Let's go ahead and say, let's click this button. It's just another way to bring up that gallery. And let's go ahead and choose float in. And I hope I don't lose my way right here, because I have one more thing I want to show you here, and it must be in effect options. Great. This is what I wanted to make sure to show you. So text is chosen right now, and I have a choice of having it come in line by line. Now this goes along with what I was just saying. Then I can say break your test array and talk about the different ways of breaking objects down into little tile pieces. And then the second line will float up. Adhere to substrate. I can talk about the various kinds of glue you can use to get your tiles to stick to whatever you're mosaicing. The opposite approach is that all of this text can fly in as one object. And again, that's great, except when it is that you want to be able to speak to each point separately. And then I can have a delay between each of these points so that I can have time. Maybe I decide it takes me a minute and a half. Actually, the delay means it'll take that long for the whole duration. Okay. All right, so a step-by-step animation. All right, let's see where we're going to next. Important for me to mention that animations add spark, but the key to using animations successfully is to be respectful to your audience. Too many animations will just give them a headache. And have animations that are relevant to your content. So again, if I'm going to show a gallery of work, previous in this presentation, showing people the steps related to mosaicing, but then I want to show off a gallery. Well, now that there's a change of pace in the presentation and a change of content, that's when you can start messing a little bit with animations or switch to a fancier animation because it's relevant. You're showing something off, it's a change of pace, and it's relevant to the material itself. All right, I'm looking through my notes to make sure I talk about everything. You will learn a lot just by trying out all these options. They're so much fun that you won't have any trouble hanging around a slideshow of yours and trying out all the different options. Let's go ahead and look at copying. Let's say, for example, going back here again, this is the one that we put the fancy animation on. We put that swivel or twist or whatever it might be. Let me just show you that. You can select something that has an animation effect. You can click Animation Painter, and then you can go somewhere else and paste that animation. So now I can click here, and I have pasted that last animation, the same animation, onto this graphic here. So that's your Animation Painter. All right, in your duration panel, the larger the number, the slower the animation. When you decrease the number, the animation speeds up. And the delay is so that you can set an animation to autoplay, but after a specified amount of time. All right, now what if you hate an animation? What if you realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to drive my audience absolutely nuts with all these spinning graphics? Then pop open your panel again and go up and choose None. And None is how you get rid of an animation. Let's go look at slide 8, where I experimented with having pictures come on and fade, come on and fade. And I thought I would do it for you entirely on screen, but since it's already here, I'll just talk about it. What I did was I took 4 photos, and I really actually prefer them all to be the same size. So let me see if I can get them to be, that's close enough for my purposes. Close enough. What was it that seemed out of size? There we go. We'll make that one just a little smaller. All right, let's take a look at what I did here. This is the first picture that I brought in, so it's the furthest back. And I added an entrance effect. I click and it flies in. And then I click again and it fades out. So I added an entrance and an exit. And then I brought in another photo and I did the exact same thing, an entrance and an exit, and an entrance and an exit, an entrance and exit. Then I used the control key to select all 4 of them. And I went back to the home panel and arrange. And I wanted to align all of these in the middle. And then I picked them all up at one time and put them in a position. But now at least they're all you know, one on top of the other when they're that way. You can't set your animations. So to set my animations, I needed room to select each separately. And then when I'm done, I want them to be, let's see if there's another choice there. I want them to all be in the same position. So I want to align the center this way as well. Now they're all one on top of each other. Let's see what happens when I click play. So my first project, my first slide, and that was pretty fast because it doesn't, the timing and the delay and speed and all doesn't matter. When you're just clicking that play button, it's just showing you quickly what's happening without the timing effects. All right, so that's how you can show the process of something and allow that sequence just to build right on top of itself. All right, let's go ahead and review something and learn something new. So I'm going to come back to slide 3, and I want to insert a movie in our video, in this presentation, if that's what we're learning today. And I am very lazy. I never like to, I rarely just get a new slide. I'll go to a slide that has a layout that I think I want, and I'll go under the new slide button and say duplicate my selected slide. Whenever I'm adding a slide, I'm almost always cheating in some way by copying some existing slide. And here I'm going to come in and say mosaic tools. And I'm going to delete the picture because obviously I don't want the picture again. I just wanted the same layout that I have and the type already there, so I just have to type over it. And I'm going to insert a media clip. I took a movie with my iPhone. That's what this is. Okay, you can insert different types of video clips. And by simply, just like inserting a picture, either the insert command or the little icon, find your movie and click insert. By the way, this is Demo 3A. So on my hard drive, I made a folder called Demo 3A. I put my presentation photos in that folder. I saved my PowerPoint to that folder as well, and I saved my movie to that folder. That way your presentation stays organized and you can easily keep track of all your files. So we're going to click insert, and now we have a movie. Now just like a photo of any kind, the movie can be moved on screen and it can be resized. Okay? In fact, it can also be put within a shape, which in this case doesn't make much sense. So we're going to say none, sorry. Hate when I do that. I botch it up every time, don't I? Where is the no shape? All right, so there's your extra credit question. I'm going to go back, hopefully, just to rectangle. You can put a border on this, and sometimes that's kind of nice because a nice bright color, and you can even make that a thicker stroke. You might want to highlight it in some way, so a border would highlight it. You have video effects like having drop shadows and glow, etc. But again, the video should have its own pizzazz and not need too many extra effects other than maybe a border to let it show nicely on screen. So luckily we have no preset set there. Okay, you can resize a movie manually, or you can resize using your edit boxes up here. And we have a play button as well. Now we did do a video border. I want to finish that because I stopped halfway. I chose a nice bright color, and then I'm going to come into weight and choose a nice thick weight. And that helps that show up more on screen. And I can place it however I want. And this is the play button. And I want you to notice once you have a video selected, your tab shows formatting options, which we just worked on, and also playback options. So your playback options offer you to say, when I get to this slide, play this movie automatically, or when I get to the slide, wait for me to click the mouse button or the arrow key to play. Please loop this video until I stop the presentation, or rewind after playing. I haven't needed that yet. I like this option. You can tell PowerPoint that when the movie plays to drop everything else on screen and just show the movie. So that's kind of cool. You also have video trim options. So if you're klutzy like I am, and you started off your video and you dropped your camera, you dropped your phone, but it was still recording, you can cut from either the front end of a video or the back end. You can't do any manipulating in the middle. All you can do is sort of crop it down from either the beginning of the video or the end. All right, so let's go ahead and click the play button for this video. Important mosaic tools. Tile nipper, glass cover, glass board, my favorite, running fire, gas, pop, silicone, and very important to have a good set of safety goggles and a possibly a face chopping. All right, that was a 30-second clip, and that's about a good length for watching a video. And wasn't that easy? So easy to bring that right into your presentation. Okay, now, once you've added a video to your presentation, it becomes a much, much bigger file. Video clips, obviously, having visual and audio are big files. So let's go ahead. Since we've been working a little in this presentation, I really should do a save. Be sure to be pressing the save button regularly. You can get quite involved in building a presentation and forget to hit save, and should the power go out or you're closing out of the wall or your batteries run out, you'd be out of luck. So hit save, but let's come back here because I wanted you to see in what they call backstage view, and I have my video selected, we have a compress media option and an optimize media compatibility, compress option, and links to further help to tell you about these options. So you can go ahead and click this button and choose whether you want to save it as presentation quality, internet quality if you're going to be streaming it over the internet, or low quality, which is what you'll probably have to choose for sending any files to me. Choose low quality. Initially, that little video itself was almost 13 megabytes. So that's pretty big for a 30-second clip. Let's see if it's going to show us what it comes down to when it's finished. You almost certainly have to run this compression method in files that you're sending to me for your homework this week and also for your final presentation, your final project. Check my notes while that's going. We did pretty good today. We just have a few more things to do. Okay, so you know, it didn't do that great of a job. It took it down about 3.5 megabytes or so. 3 megabytes. Oh no, it's saying I saved. I see. It took it down to about 3 megabytes, so I saved nearly 10 megabytes. That's great. Now, as long as we're here in this backstage view, PowerPoint calls it, let's click the Properties button. Because every slideshow should be documented. And you want your name on every slideshow. Your title and your mosaic and your subject are great to have. Keywords are great to have too if you need help finding something that you can't find. But very important, I check this every time to confirm that it really is your presentation. All right. And then again, it's great to learn about inserting header and footer commands. So let's go back there again. Sometimes you want something on the slides, like maybe a footer. Maybe I want it to say copyright B. McNally. If this was a Mac, I would be able to do the little copyright symbol. Option G gives you the copyright symbol on a Mac, but I think we've already been through this on a PC. I have not the foggiest idea what gives me the copyright symbol. But because this is original material, I might want to say that it's copyrighted and I might want a date. But usually I don't want anything clogging up my slides. I'm going to apply it to all just for the heck of it. And I'm going to go back there again, header and footer. It's on the notes and handouts that you'll definitely want material that labels it as yours, gives you, have the date on it so you know when that presentation was completed or what version of that presentation that was. And again, when you turn in work, I always check to make sure your document properties and your notes and handouts, footer and header are available there as well. We're going to go ahead and cancel this. Okay, let's take a look. What else could we do with animation today? Well, let's just go ahead and see how the slideshow views now. Slideshow from beginning. Starts with a fancy animation. Oh, needs me to press the arrow key. And then we walk through the presentation. Let's see what happens when we get to the movie. Here's the movie. When I press the key again, oh darn. I would have thought that now when I press the arrow key, my movie would play. So what I have to show you is that you have to hover over the bottom of the movie and press the play button here. Okay, and I can't bear to listen to this again. So I'm going to press the arrow key to go forward again. But notice how that went full screen and the rest of the slide disappeared and focused just on the movie. Isn't that cool? All right, here we have animation. So the slide comes on screen. This slides on. This gives me a headache as it rotates on. Animation key again. The forward key again. Here we have our process. And these are gonna, I'm looking to see if they come on one by one. No, I have to press. Each time I press, I get a new numbered. So I get to keep pace with myself. All right, so numbered list came on one by one based on an animation that was line by line. Moving on to sample projects. And then multiple animations on one slide. That was the bench before I started to mosaic it. Now see here, I'm having to click too many times. So I think I'll show you how to fix that. I click to bring this on. I click and it fades. So the next animation, I'd like to not have to click for. I'd like the fade to lead right to this coming on screen. So here's the bench in process. It fades. I have to click again. And there's how some of the bench looks. Still not finished. It's not routed yet. All right, click escape. Again, we're ahead of the game in only a half-an-hour demo, so I'm going to take this just a little bit further. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to look at picture 4, the entrance effect. Green is entrance. And I'm going to do it, tell it to start with previous. And then I'm going to go to this one and start with previous. And this one, start with previous. All right, now we'll go back to slideshow and from current slide. Now, let's see what happens. I press the key to bring on the bench, and I press the key to fade it. And it fades, and with that one click, my new picture came on. So my new picture's on. I talk about the process of mosaicing this bench. When I'm ready for the third picture, I click once, and I get a fade and the picture. So there's how it can work, that the sequence requires less clicking of the mouse, and that's very valuable. And that's the part you're going to want to practice over and over till you streamline that sequencing. So here again, we're seeing the whole bench and the flight path of the dragonfly, and a click to bring on fade and bring on the next photo. All right, press escape. I'm going to look over my notes here and see if there's anything further we need to talk about today. I know. Let's go down to the very last slide. I always like to have a thank you slide, and I wanted to show you how to fill a slide with a picture. So in this case, I won't be lazy. In this case, I'll add a new slide. So we're going to go back to the Home tab and pop up a new slide. And I think we'll bring in a title-only slide. Okay. And I'm going to type thank you up here. And I usually like to use, for something like this, of course, I want to be playful and use a fun font. Let's see what's available on this PC. Let's see, Bedoni Black is kind of fun and lots bigger. And actually, I'm jumping the gun because once I bring in a picture, I might need to choose a font that works better over my picture because I'm thinking of the whole background as being a picture. If I can remember how, ha ha ha. And I might center that and put it in the center of the screen. And I could use the align buttons, don't forget, to get something to be in the center of the screen. Okay, what did I want to do? I wanted to go into design, and I wanted to go to background styles and format background. And I wanted to go to picture or texture fill and choose from one of my files. And I had actually put something new on my zip disk, so let's see if I can see my little zip disk table one. I have this is probably going to look terrible as a background photo, but I thought it'd be fun to try. Now normally I would copy table 1 into my folder first, but because I'm doing this on the fly, and I'm going to choose insert, certainly not apply to all because I want it just on this picture, and close, just on this slide. There we go. Now we can see that my thank you perhaps needs to go in the top corner, but the fun part here is I wanted you to see that the picture fills the entire screen. And let's decide where thank you can go, maybe right across the center there. And of course the type can have some word art to it, or it would be nice to match the style that I had on the front cover. Oh, thank you very much. How interesting. I don't want your text here. I want you to do my text. Select, pop it open. Let's see if it works properly this time. And if it doesn't, you can tell me what I did wrong. There, this is the one I think would work good. There we go. All right, and I might want a different color for that. Let's go ahead and see. I guess the gold shows up pretty well. But let's just see what a lightish gray would look like now. Yeah, see, that blends in, so the gold really was the best color. There we go. Lots of options for changing. Okay. So I'm a big fan of a thank you slide at the end. I think it's a way of letting the audience know you appreciated their time and energy. So you can also say that when you get to the end. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I appreciated your attention. And that's true right now. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I hope you learned something. I'm going to click over here for a second and see about the videos. You'll have, in your demo, you might have this very great information that we covered talking about it, but in Microsoft Demo, of course, they have little pictures you can look at to tell you how things work. All right, thank you so much for listening. See you next week.